Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Em. Pardon the look we have going on. I just finished working out. I have to go pick up my youngest from school. I just got a email from a rental company that there's a wind advisory for this evening. My husband's out of town and I feel like a hot mess. And I look like a hot mess, so it goes with the theme. But hi, welcome to this reading vlog. I need to just read some books this week, and I have great accountability when I'm filming a reading vlog, so that's what we're going to do. It is also Clear Your Shit month, or Clear Your Shit season, since Clear Your Shit goes for 2 months. But anyways, if you don't know what Clear Your Shit is, it is a storied readathon where the object is to read through your physical TBR. I will link the creator down below, and there are prompts for every book that match up with the narrative that is being told. The story for this round is that we have traveled to this planet where the people are compulsively buying books but are physically unable to read those books. So that's what we're working with. I've been participating like all month long, but not really talking about it in any of my videos. So this is going to be like a fully Clear Your Shit specific focused type of video. Okay, let's see where I am. I've been kind of jumping around with prompts and like fitting books that I need to read for projects into various prompts, but I need to stop jumping around because it's not how I like to operate. It's not what my brain likes to do. So we are going to fill in the gaps that I have with the prompts. Starting with prompt number 1, which if you watched my November TBR, I told you what I was going to read first for Clear Your Shit. It's a book where there is a bad guy or villain of some kind, and I have been reading Long Live Evil by Sarah Reese Brennan since the beginning of the year. And I'm like 60-something%. Beginning of the year. Where am I right now? Since the beginning of the month, and I'm only 60% into it. I contemplate DNFing this book, sir, every single time I pick it up, which is not good. And I'm still contemplating whether or not I'm going to DNF it, but every time I pick it up, instead of DNFing, I just get a little bit closer to finishing, which makes me want to DNF a little bit less because I've invested so much time and energy in this book already that I don't want it to be for nothing. So I'm still not sure whether or not I'm going to finish it. So I'm just going to keep reading it, and you will suffer an indecision along with me. The other prompt I'm actively working on right now is the free space prompt, and for that one I'm reading a nonfiction because it is also Nonfiction November, which I'd forgotten about. I'm reading Democracy Awakening, Notes on the State of America by Heather Cox Richardson. This is history of United States politics and how we got to the particular moment we are in the middle of. This is not a fun read, but boy oh boy am I learning a lot, and it's making me mad, but also making me understand why the election turned out the way it did this year, which also makes me mad. So it's a lot of mad, but it's really well written. It's very easy to read, aside from the like rage-inducing coma I go into every single time. But I'm highlighting it a lot, I'm marking a lot because I'm learning a lot. So if you are, excuse me, trucks, can we drive on a different road for like 5 minutes? Thank you. Yes, if you are an Enneagram 5, which I am, or maybe a more, I mean, I wouldn't call myself an analytical person, but I definitely like to turn to reason and science and history when I do not understand what is going on or why things are the way they are. I know that is not a lot of people, but I find it comforting. It's not the right word. I think we forget how horrible American history is and has been, even just 50 years ago, 60 years ago. So I feel like these are not unprecedented times anymore. The time we're in right now is very precedented. And I think this book is helping me understand that. So yeah, I don't know that I'll update as I go through this one, but I picked this up on a friend's recommendation, Kelsey at Essentially Booked. recommended this on her Instagram. And so I think if you were like also that kind of like, if that's how you like to process world events, then I would recommend this already, and I'm not even done with it yet. And then the other prompt I'm working on, where did I decide? Oh, okay. Prompt number 4, a book where one goes on a quest or to a different world. I floundered around for forever last night trying to figure out which book I was going to pick for this prompt because I don't have any Portal Fantasy on my physical TBR, and I couldn't, it's hard to tell which of my fantasy books are questy and which ones aren't. So I ultimately decided on Haunted Holiday, which is book 5 in the Sinister Summer series. This is a middle grade series about the sinister Winterbottom siblings whose parents go missing, and they are on a quest through the whole series to figure out what happened to their parents and what is going on. And this is book 5, so we're picking up right where book 4 left off, and we're following twins Alexander and Theo, and this one is set in an amusement park, which I think will be cool. And I read, how many pages? 86 pages last night. So my hope for this vlog is that we will finish these 3 books and then also be able to finish prompt 5, which is a book where the font on the cover is aesthetically pleasing to you, and prompt 7, which is a surprise prompt. Oh, they haven't posted the surprise prompts yet. So a surprise prompt is where, well, I'll explain it when we get to it. I think either Wednesday or Thursday is the reset day for clearursht for the next week. So if we get to when we get to the surprise prompt, I'll talk you through that. And then, man, if everything goes my way, maybe we'll even get to prompt 9, which is read your smallest book, either pages, audio length, or physical size. I have a couple options. So that seems overly ambitious for 1 week, but you know what? We can do it. We can do hard things. I'll make it through somehow. Welcome to the vlog. I now need to go pick up my youngest from school. I'm going to finish my energy drink. We're going to go to the grocery store. Though, does it make sense to go to the grocery store if the power is going to go out? Power might go out. I hate when the power goes out. But I also need to get stuff for dinner tonight because I have nothing to feed my children. That's dinner appropriate. If we're talking snacks, I got us covered, but we need food for dinner. So I'm gonna go do that. Also, my middle kid has dance tonight. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, hi. Welcome to the vlog. I'm so glad you're here. Wish me luck as I struggle to accomplish my reading goals and hold on to my sanity this week. It's gonna be great. Hi friends, happy, what day is it? Did I tell you what day it was yesterday? Maybe it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. Hi, it's the next day. And I finished Haunted Holiday this morning, and I did not realize that this was the final book in the series. For some reason I thought we had one more. Don't look at the laundry that I need to put away. I didn't realize this was the final book in the series, so I finished the series as well. That's exciting. And I think I gave you a very brief overview of what this is about. So in this one, we're just wrapping it all up. We're discovering the mystery of what happened to Theo and Alexander and Will's parents, where they went, why they went, what secrets they've been hiding from their kids, and also found out the secrets for the other kids that they've made friends with along the way, what was going on with their parents, how they're all connected. This wasn't my favorite of the series. I actually ended up giving this a 3.5, which is kind of wild because I gave book 1 5 stars. I really loved book 1, but I felt like this one lost some of the silliness and some of the humor that was in book 1 that I really loved. And Kiersten White, for the most part, I really enjoy her books. She can be a little on the nose, and most of the time it doesn't bother me. I don't mind it. But this one, and maybe it's just the nature of it being middle grade, I felt like it was really on the nose and not subtle. And she was hammering it home, her themes home, so hard. And maybe that makes sense for this age group, you know, this 8 to 12-year-old age group. But I also think kids are smarter than sometimes authors give them credit for. And maybe we didn't need to be this, like, do you get the point with the book? But as always, like, I really like her themes. Like, and I really like the themes in this series of believing in yourself and trusting yourself and realizing that your faults can also be your strengths, and that you should love yourself as you are and believe in yourself as you are, and that you do not need to change, and sticking to what you know to be right, even when grown-ups, especially around you, the grown-ups that you look up to, are telling you something different. Like, I just, and I like the message of, like, grown-ups don't know what they're doing most of the time, and grown-ups make mistakes too. It's not just kids. So as always, like, I really love those themes. I just felt like the execution was a little too heavy-handed, even for middle grade. I can't believe I'm done with this series now. I feel kind of sad. I thought for sure I had one more book, but oh well. So the project for today, because obviously I have chores that need to get done, I'm gonna really try to focus on Long Live Evil. And this one is Portal Fantasy that just came out over the summer. And in this one, we are following Ray, who has stage 4 terminal cancer. And one night she is approached in her hospital room by this woman who says, hey, if you go into this fantasy world of your favorite book series and get this flower for me, I will heal you and you won't have cancer anymore. And if you don't, then you're just going to go into a coma and die. And Ray doesn't have anything to lose, so she agrees. Only problem is that she's never actually read the first book of her favorite fantasy series. And so she gets dropped into the body of the main villain in the story. And then is kind of making it up as she goes from there, trying to get this flower so that she can go back to her life and actually start living her life instead of just being known as the sick girl. For some reason, I thought Ray was going to be older, and I think she's only 20 or 21, and so that's fine. I just thought she would be older than that, so I had to adjust my expectations that we're dealing with somebody whose frontal lobe is not fully developed and is not going to make good choices. And so there's a meta aspect to this book because Ray knows she's in a story and is very aware of the fact that she's in a story and is interacting with her favorite characters and gets really caught up in the, oh, what I do doesn't matter because it's just a story and these aren't real people, so it doesn't really matter what happens to them. And I don't mind meta books. Usually I enjoy them, and I enjoyed it at the beginning, but I don't know how long this book is because I've been either reading it on my e-reader or listening to the audiobook, but the audiobook's long, so it's probably like a 500-page book is my guess. And the meta stuff was cute at the beginning, but at 500 pages it's getting old. It's like, okay, I get it. It's so repetitious to have her keep bringing that up over and over and over again. I'm like, okay, I get the point. Let's move on. I also find the pacing to be a little inconsistent, and I am not as interested in the parts where Ray is really stuck in her real world self. I find the story machinations going on. I find the side characters, like the book characters that are in here, to be more interesting than our main character, who's supposed to be our real world character. I find her less interesting, less developed, less evolved, and I want to know what's going on with these side characters more so. So that's kind of why I keep waffling back and forth on whether or not I should DNF it. And at this point, I think it's just so long, and I've been reading it for so long that I definitely do not care anymore. But as I said yesterday, I've invested, what day is it? I've invested 13 days in this book. I don't want to DNF it because that's a lot of days. That's a lot of time. Granted, I did not read it for maybe 5 days out of those 13 because I was reading other things, but I'm just so close. So I'm going to give it a big push today, try to finish it. I'm going to put on my earbuds, listen to the audiobook, get some chores done, eat lunch. I have to teach again this evening, but, oh, and I have my dance class this evening. So yeah, I'm just going to try to get a big chunk of it done before I have to go pick up my youngest from school. But I'm not loving it. I will probably end up giving it a 3 or a 2.75, but we'll see how this ending goes. I mean, anything could happen, who knows, but right now it's just kind of okay, which is a big bummer. Audio wise though, the audiobook is narrated by Moira Quirk, who narrates the Gideon, the Ninth, the Locked Tomb trilogy, and she is one of my favorite narrators. I absolutely love her. And so I think it says a lot about the writing and about the character development and about the structure of the plot that Moira Quirk isn't even keeping me engaged in this book. Like, if Moira Quirk can't keep me engaged, then nobody can. So, okay, I'm gonna stop yammering and go get some stuff done. Okay, I just finished doing yoga. You can't see my yoga mat. Trust me, I just finished doing yoga. I am going to now do laundry. I washed the kids' sheets this morning before I went to work. So now I gotta put them all back on their beds and then tackle some other chores. I am on chapter 29. Libro says I have an hour and 16 minutes left. So I can do it. I can do it. But I'm also real mad because I think Sarah Reese Brennan might have killed off one of my favorite characters. So, not loving that. Or maybe not favorite, but like my favorite in this book. Like the one I find the most interesting. So, I hope she didn't do that because I'm going to be big mad if she actually killed that person off. But, let's do it. I have an hour before I have to leave to pick up E. I can't finish it, but I can get close. Alright, I finished it. I'm very proud of myself right now. I initially gave it a 2.75, but then that felt mean. So I bumped it up to a 3.5. I might lower it down to a 3.25, though that feels very, very nitpicky. I wish I had been as engaged with the rest of the book as I was with the ending. I feel like the ending was really propulsive, really exciting. There was a lot of reveals. It was very interesting, and I think it makes for an interesting setup for book 2. Unfortunately, how I felt for 75% of that book, just I cannot do that again. I cannot be meh for 75% or 85% and then invested for 15%. That just does not, that balance does not work out for me. So right now it's a 3.5. I'll probably just leave it there because I don't know. I think this book could really work for a lot of readers. I think it's a really fun idea. I think it's executed well. I think taking those 5 days off in the middle did not serve my reading experience at all. I do have all these like wings going on with my hair. I also think primarily doing an ebook was a mistake because, as I've said before, I'm an extraordinarily slow reader when I'm on a device versus a physical, tactile reading experience. And as always, I think it's too long. I think it's too long. But I'm very proud of myself for persevering and finishing it, and now I can speak with authority on my opinion of this book. I'm still working on Democracy Awakening. I'm not rushing to finish that anytime soon. So, but I'm not only going to be reading a nonfiction book because that is bananas, which means I get to move on to the next prompt, which is to read a book where the font on the cover is aesthetically pleasing to you. Okay, I love the open-endedness of this prompt, but also it's too pliable. And I'm overwhelmed by my options because I don't think I have, I mean, I think all my books have fonts that are aesthetically pleasing. So it has some options. So let's go through and then and I might actually just put it up on Instagram and ask people to vote to help me choose. But I'll show you what the choices are. Okay, we've got 3 choices. One, I haven't read a single book off of my TBR for November yet. So I could pick up Incendiary. I really love the font on this, but my hesitation is it is another almost 500 page book. It is also fantasy, though this one is YA versus Long Live Evil's adult. So theoretically, this would be a faster read, but I don't know if I want to dive into another like heavily fantasy book. Of course, these other, one is fantasy. And then the other ones I have are The City in Glass by Nevo and Catalina. I don't know how to say this author's name, and I butchered it the last time I tried to say it, so I am not going to do that. But these are also 2 books I've gotten from Aardvark Book Club, and I promised myself I was not going to let those books pile up, and they have started to pile up, so I need to start reading them. Because I think I have 4 now that are unread. There is also going to be another prompt coming up to read your shortest book. And these are both kind of short. This one is 215 pages. And Catalina is 204. So I could probably save Catalina and read it for the shortest book prompt. And then I don't know. I do like the font on Incendiary better than The City in Glass. City in Glass is pretty, not boring, but okay, it's a little boring. It's just very straightforward. Like there's nothing fancy about it, but I love Nevo. And I have never read any of her books outside of the Singing Hill cycle. Ooh, there's a lot of negative space on some of these pages. I love that. I love when there's negative space on a page. Anyways, so I don't know. Again, I'm going to save this one for the shortest book prompt, but I'll probably pick one more. I'll let Instagram vote. Maybe. No, I won't. I don't want to be told what to do. I want to figure out what to do. So I'm going to figure out what to do, and I'll come back and update you in the morning. Hello friends, it is the next day. I don't know where my tripod is and I'm too lazy to go look for it, so we're gonna trust my shaky hand to get the job done today. But this is gonna be a quick update. You already know what I'm reading because you saw it, but I grabbed 3 books off of the shelf yesterday. I think not quite the 3 books I showed you, but 3 books. And my plan was to read no, I don't have that kind of time. To read like the first page-ish of each book and then decide from there. And this was the second book that I picked up and I just kept reading. So this is what I am reading. I'm also I don't have an audiobook for this one. Last night that was fine. I'm a little bit regretting that choice this morning, but it'll be okay. It'll be fine. The new prompts come out tomorrow. So depending on what the surprise prompt is, I might pick a book that does have an audiobook. or where I also have the audiobook for that book. And then I'll have an audiobook and a physical book. But I started this last night. I read some this morning. We're just kind of picking up where we left off. So this is about Finley, who is the cook for this castle, and he's also a witch. And in the first book, we met Finley, and he came to the castle and started his new job, and it was really about what is going on. And it was really about Finley building community. There is like some political plot stuff going on. There's a little bit of a romance, but it's really just about Finley like coming to terms with his magic and kind of coming to peace with himself while also building community and connections and the romance. And we're just picking up right where we left off. So we're going to continue on. I will say I don't love the romance in this for whatever reason. Annika, who is the love interest, in the first book, she reads older, and I don't think she is. I think she was supposed to be like in her early 20s. I'm sorry, I hate my bangs so much today. I think she's supposed to be in like her early 20s, but she, to me, reads so much older, which is fine, but then she'll do stuff or say things. I'm like, that does not match the picture of you I have in my head, but that's okay. It's easy to read. It's entertaining. It's not, the plot is far removed from our reality, so I'm just able to kind of like sit down and like have a good time. I finished eating my lunch, and today is my like rest day from exercise, so I'm just gonna kind of chill. I'm gonna watch a little bit of YouTube. I'm gonna read a little bit. I do have to go back to work this afternoon for one class, so I need to plan a little bit for that class, but I think the rest of this day is gonna be like as chill as humanly possible. Yeah. And yeah, I'm just gonna chill. That's just my vibe. I just want to be chill. Good morning, friends. Hopefully you can't hear the leaf blower, but if you do, I'm sorry. My neighbor's obsessed with his leaf blower and leaf blows everything that could possibly be on his driveway. I don't understand it. If somebody can explain cis men and their obsession with yard work, that'd be great. I do not understand it. Anyways, I am officially over the 100-page mark in House Witch 2. It's fine. I kind of will say what I said. I think what I said yesterday still stands. It's easy to read. My brain doesn't have to work too hard. I'm obviously like flying through it if I read 100 pages in basically like 18 hours ish. If you're like, yeah, ish. Anyways, however, the author really wants you to know that Finn has red hair because Finn is referred to as the redhead at least once a chapter, if not twice a chapter. So it's getting to be a little bit like a drinking game, except I would be dead if I actually was taking a shot every time the author referred to Finn as the redhead. Anyways, it's fine. It's entertaining. I don't love it. There's some things that I'm like, this is questionable for if this makes for good storytelling. But you know what? It's just the way my reading has gone lately, I'm nervous to pick up something that I've been highly anticipating or that I'm really excited about because I'm worried that I am distracted enough or detached enough that even like books that I feel like are guarantees that I will love them, like books like the sequel to The Unbroken or the sequel to the Jasmine Throne. Like, I'm just worried that with the brain space I'm in currently, that if I pick them up, I will be too distracted, too apathetic to be as invested as I want to be. So, for the time being, meh books are, I guess, kind of fine. Like where I'm at, I'm not that mad about it, which is very sad. I don't like that is how it is. I have been listening to this audiobook of Grimm's Fairy Tales that I've had on my Libro FM account for a really long time. It's got a stellar narration cast list. Every fairy tale is read by a different what are the words I'm looking for? Narrator. So we've got, I won't read you all of them because there's a lot. So we've got like Katherine Kellgren, January Lavoie, Simon Vance, Jim Dale, Alfred Molina, who else? Bonnie Turpin, Davina Porter. The very last one is read by Robin Miles, which is really what's keeping me going. So, like, fantastic narrators. And I really grew up with fairy tales. They were a big part of my childhood and the stories that I consumed, like, as a young child. But I am really kind of being grossed out by these fairy tales right now. So it's weird because it's kind of comforting because they're so nostalgic for me, but it's also kind of gross on what so many of the themes and lessons are in fairy tales and how women are punished in various ways for stepping out of line. So don't love that. That's not great, but I'm almost done. I have one more story and then I have the I have one more story and then I have the Robin Miles one and then I'll be done. And like I said, I've had this audiobook since 2016. That might be one of my oldest books on my TBR. Really, 2016? I mean, yeah, that has to be maybe 2017. I don't think I got it the year it came out. But either way, I've had it for a long time. All right, the prompts for clearursht came out. So let's see what the surprise prompt is. And I can also try to explain this. So before a new session of clearursht starts, they put up these selections to where you can kind of pick select what your strength and your weakness is for the surprise prompts. And there's usually one for your strength, one for your weakness, and what's the other one? There's usually 3 weaknesses. Weapons is what the other one is. And then so there's like 3 or 4 options and you pick the one that applies to you the most. So I think strength's the one that's coming out today. Oh, it doesn't say. Okay, well, let's see what it is. Okay, so the first mini boss is weakness. So let's pick what my weakness is. So the choices for weakness is if you always buy special editions, you're a special edition simp. If you own more books than shelf space, you have spatial blindness. If you participate in stuff, your Kindle, even though TBR is already long, your Kindle kryptonite. And if you recommend books but can't ever remember why you liked them, you're a victim of the remember. And like if you don't if none of them fit, you can just choose a book at random. You don't have to go off of this. I guess victim of the remember is the one that represents me the most because I will recommend books and it's not that I can't remember why I liked them. I remember vibes and feelings more than I remember actual plot or character stuff. So we'll go with victim of the remember. And so we'll go to see what. Okay, so victim of the remember. Read a book that you can't remember why you have it. That one might be hard because I'm usually pretty good at remembering why I have a book. Read a book where you can't remember why you have it. Okay, I'm gonna go look at the shelf. I'll be right back. Okay, so I think, having just scanned my bookshelves, I think part of the difficulty in this particular prompt for me is that so many of the books on my unread shelf are by authors that I have read before. They are sequels, they are companion books, they are like from authors that I have liked and loved, and like I trust that I will, for the most part, probably have a good time. And so finding a book where I'm like, ooh, where did that recommendation come from is tricky. But I do have one where I don't remember who or where or what I first heard about this, but this is A Pale Light in the Black by K.B. Wagers. I don't know. This book is in rough shape. I think I got it. I must have gotten it off of Better World Books or thriftbooks.com. If it's in this kind of condition, I should probably clean it up. I think I've seen this series on Instagram a lot. It's sci-fi. I think it's about a military force patrolling and protecting space inspired by the real-life mission of the U.S. Coast Guard. Okay. I think this is supposed to be pretty, like, queer norm type of world as well. Where did it go? the little blurb on the front says, if the long way to a small angry planet had more kickboxing matches and death-defying space rescues, this would be the book. So anyways, that could be fun. I'll give it a shot. Maybe it'll make me feel something. I mean, that's the other argument is, like, do I just need to read a book that's going to hurt my feelings? Like, do I need to be pushed into feeling something instead of picking up books that just kind of, like, are fine? I mean, I could make an argument for either direction. All right, I'm going to see if there's an audiobook for this because I do need an audiobook. And I think I might try to finish Democracy Awakening today because I kind of want to read a different nonfiction. And then the other clear your shit prompt that I have my eyes on is that, the prompt isn't coming up today. Okay, so the prompt isn't up yet, but there's always like a group read for clear your shit, and that's totally optional. You don't have to do it. But the group read for this year is Middle Game by Shauna McGuire, which I've never reread. And so I also have the audiobook for that from the library. So I could get started on that early if I can't find an audiobook for Pale, Light, and the Black. All right, that's the plan. And I'm just going to chill today. I do have to work this afternoon, but not until like 3:30. And I really just want to rest and relax and enjoy today because, yeah, it's been a rough one. So maybe we'll go to a coffee shop. Maybe. That could be fun. Or go out to lunch. Or do something that feels a little bit like a treat. Good morning, friends. It's a couple days later. I have a bunch of updates to give you, and then I'm leaving the house. I mean, I leave the house every day. It's not exciting, but anyways, places to go, people to see for like one day of my life. I finished 2 books, and then I have 2 books that I haven't talked to you about yet. I did finish Democracy Awakening. I am giving it a 5. The information so good. I think this really helped me process the election and make it make a little bit more sense in my head. I am still really sad and frustrated, but like it weirdly kind of makes sense to me now, which I hate for so many reasons. But anyways, yeah, I really encourage this if you, even if you're not like a nonfiction fan. I feel like this is really easy to consume and makes sense, and it's not dry. At least I didn't find it dry. I found it really interesting. I would say maybe the only section I struggled with was the last section, because this book is broken up into thirds, and the last section is really like an overview of early formational American history, and a lot of it was very repetitive, but that's only because I've read a lot of the founding of America as a country history books. Like I've consumed a lot of them, so a lot of it just was similar information, and it felt very repetitive, but only because I've read a lot about it. I think if you are just kind of getting into it, it would be really useful. And it's useful anyways. Like even though I felt repetitive, like it was still good for me to read. I don't think she should take that section, shouldn't have been in there. If you listen to the audiobook, which I had a hold on the audiobook and I ended up getting it, I think on Friday. And so I like traded off immersion reading it and just physically reading it. And if you listen to the audiobook, she has added an afterword talking about this election cycle. Obviously, like, if it's in the audiobook, like, she obviously wasn't able to write a conclusion to this election season and like what another presidency looks like. But I think, like, if you read this and you really want her thoughts, she has, I think, a newsletter on Substack. Anyways, I'm going to hunt down her newsletter because now I'm really interested to hear her thoughts. But yeah, highly recommend for if you're looking for a history book. And then I did read The House Witch 2, and I think I'm done with this series. I don't think I need to read any more of these books because I realized Delamock, the author, does not know how to end a book. I'd forgotten that The House Witch just ends on a total cliffhanger. Like, Delamock doesn't try to wrap anything up, doesn't try to resolve anything. Like, they just end the book. And then this one, same thing. Like, it picks up where we left off. And then the author doesn't end the book. I mean, there's no resolution. It just stops. And so it's very frustrating. Like, I'm not, yeah, I'm like, just resolve your story a little bit. And like I said, I had enjoyed this at the beginning because we're really just continuing on the plot from book one, obviously, because these should just be like one gargantuan book, I guess. And so this kingdom is getting ready, or is like preparing to go to war with another kingdom. And so there's all these political things, and Finley, the cook, because he is a witch, is tasked by the king to go undercover into the city to try to discover if this other kingdom has been smuggling soldiers in preparation for an ambush. And so we're following Finley. The woman that he has the romance with, she is also a spy for the king, and so they both have secrets that they're keeping for each other. And it is very easy to read, and at times I was really delighted with it. Like when Finley was getting the prostitutes at a brothel to unionize, that was great. I loved that. But then there aren't any queer characters in this book, and there was a weird moment where Finley was impersonating a gay man and was really like stereotypical about it, and that was kind of weird. And then there was also something later in the book with a character who I couldn't tell if they were supposed to be trans, and Delamock was choosing to use like really harmful language around this character being trans, or if they were a drag queen, or if they're just a dude who likes wearing women's clothes. Like, it was just weird. And this character is also somebody who is set up as a villain and also had like a multiple personality disorder. And so it was weird. I didn't like it. The repetitiveness of calling Finley the redhead really got to me. It, like, once I noticed it, I couldn't unnotice it, and it happened sometimes multiple times on the same page. It was just so much. And it just did some weird things. And like, I don't need to read this series anymore. And I don't know that I would even really recommend this series, because I think if you're looking for cozy fantasy, or fantasy that wants to portray itself as cozy fantasy, I think there are better books. I do. I think there are better books. So I gave this like a 2.5 on Storygraph. Not a fan. And I can't wait to unhaul it. And then I started reading 2 new books. How long do I have? Okay, 5 more minutes to talk to you. First of all, I tried to read that sci-fi book, and my brain was not having it. Absolutely not. Could not even handle it. So I decided to just go with the option on clearursht, whereas if none of the prompts, like if none of the weakness descriptors work for you, you could just pick a book at random. So I just grabbed Forget Me Not by Julie Soto because it's on my TBR for November and I need to read it. And I read a lot yesterday. I'm 188 pages into it. And this is about Amma, who is a wedding planner, and Elliot, who is a florist. And this is told in dual perspective, but also dual timelines. We're in Amma's perspective for present day, and then in Elliot's perspective, we're in the past, because Amma and Elliot have been in a relationship type situation previously. So we're getting the first relationship from Elliot's perspective and then the present day from Amma's perspective. And I would say it's fine. I don't like Elliot very much. He is rude, like really rude. and says Amma's name wrong. And like, she's like, oh, it's so cute how he's too lazy to say my name. I'm like, no, girl. Like, the dude you want to bone should say your name correctly. Like, let's have some standards, please. He should say your name correctly. And then Amma's obsessed with donuts, which was cute at the beginning, but it's getting a little like, one, I'm kind of concerned for her, how her body processes insulin, but also just like, how do you do? I'm old. I don't feel good when I eat as much sugar as she eats. She's only like 26, so maybe she's fine. I could eat a bunch of things when I was 26 and they didn't upset my body, but now, oh, no. Anyways, it's fine. I'm kind of the same thing I said for the house witch. It's easy to read. I'm flying through it. I think I'm enjoying it while I'm reading it. I'm definitely liking it more as I get into it. At the beginning, I was very much not sure. But I still don't like Elliot very much. And so, I don't know. And I'm kind of bummed because I know a lot of people who like really, really loved this book. But like, friends, the person you want to bone should say your name correctly. Just putting it out there. And then, and then I did move on to the final prompt that I need before I'm all caught up, which is crazy that I caught up that fast. Like, absolutely wild. And I started Catalina, and I am, how far am I? 35 pages in. I am liking it so much. And this is, I think, literary fiction, and we're just following a year in the life of Catalina, who is in her senior year at Harvard, whoa, and is an undocumented immigrant and has lived with her grandparents most of her life, and they are also undocumented immigrants, and I'm just liking it so much. It's kind of like Catalina is telling her story to us, the reader, and so there's a little bit of kind of breaking the fourth wall element, and it's a little bit stream of consciousness, and occasionally like she'll be telling a story and then there'll be a paragraph where you go to a totally different subject and then you go back to what she was originally talking about, and I really like that because like that feels like how humans are, where we'll be talking about one thing and then we'll temporarily be diverted down another path and then we'll come back to what we were originally talking about. So I'm really liking that. I'm really liking the writing. I've read The Undocumented Americans, which is nonfiction, and I loved it. Again, I thought the writing in that was really great, and so I'm really, really liking this so much. And it's kind of nice to read a book that is so far so well structured and that I'm really liking after reading a book like The House Witch. So yeah, those are all the reading updates. And now I have to get moving. We're gonna go meet my middle kid, and I are gonna go meet their bestie and their bestie's mom, and we're all gonna have like coffee and then go browse a bookstore together. So that will be fun. Hopefully I don't buy anything because purchasing books has been a problem this month, but right, okay. Hopefully I will finish both of these shortly, and then I will be all caught up with clearursht and like several days before the new prompts come out, so that will be great. The last two books, so let's talk about them and then we're gonna wrap up this video. I finished Forget Me Not a couple of days ago, so I'm gonna try real hard to remember what my final thoughts were. I think let me see what I gave it. I definitely don't remember what I gave it. Okay, I gave this 3 stars, and I have a few thoughts. I don't know that they're necessarily in any order, so we'll just go into them. First off, I have decided for myself, because I was thinking about how many romances I've read this year unintentionally that are based off of Raylo fanfiction, or maybe started their life as Raylo fanfiction, which Raylo doesn't do anything for me, like at all. Like I like Star Wars, I've seen all those movies. I don't get that particular fandom, which is fine. But it's really trickled into traditionally published romance in I feel like a very heavy way. And I don't quite know, like I would love somebody has like an essay or a think piece on why romance authors and romance in general is really loving Raylo in this moment, or Raylo inspired things in this moment. God, I would love to read it. But for me, I think I've decided that what Raylo means for me as a reader picking up one of these books is that it's just a permission structure for the guy to be an absolute ass at the beginning of the book. And maybe that he evolves over the course and gets to be nicer. Maybe he stays nice. But I think instead of like grumpy to sunshine, it's like absolute jerk and whatever Ray means for the heroine in the book. And I don't like that. I mean, it's different when it's enemies to lovers, but when you have this absolute like sunshine of a girl, of a woman, and the guy is purposely being rude, that I can't get behind. And it's different for me than grumpy. Grumpy just means like ruffled feathers, but usually the grumps are still like they're not rude in the way I found Elliot so rude at the beginning. And the thing with her name stayed throughout the whole thing. I would also say the steamy scenes in this got incredibly cringy for me because Elliot has a bunch of flower tattoos and Amma I said her name wrong, but I'm not trying to bang her, so it's different. Emma's obsessed with his tattoos, and it comes up in the steamy scenes, and it's weird to me. It took me out every time. I was not a fan of how like ramped up she got over his tattoos. It was so, I don't know, it's so weird. So that was really cringy for me. It like took me out of those scenes every single time. I also don't think I like weddings in books. And I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, but Emma is a wedding planner and is just trying to get like her business going. She hasn't been a wedding planner for very long. And at the beginning of the book, she gets this like really big deal of a wedding from a couple where one half is like this actress, social media influencer person. So like a lot of notoriety, like doing this wedding would really put Emma's business on the map. And there's just, I don't think I like weddings because something always goes wrong with them. When one of the characters is either a wedding planner or like involved in a wedding, like the wedding is, like a wedding happening is the plot of the book. I never like it because something always goes wrong and it's so stressful. And I just don't like it. Also, Emma's obsessed with donuts in a way that was cute at the beginning and then got kind of annoying because I was like, nobody can eat that much sugar and not throw up. I just don't know how anybody eats that much sugar without being sick to their stomach. She did have some manic pixie dream girl vibes that I didn't love. So I'm sad to say but it's a 3 because I read it so fast. It's so easy to read. And like, obviously I'm talking about all these things that were cons for me, but they never kept me from reading the book. Now, towards the end, I was getting to that spot of like, I have to keep reading just so I can be done with this book. So that's not great either. Okay, so what I did like, this book is set in Sacramento and it's very clearly set in Sacramento. Like you can't if you took that part out of the book, the plot would suffer, or the book would suffer. Like you couldn't just pick it up and move it to a different city. And I really like that. I love books that are really specific in their locations. And like you can tell, and her author's note like confirmed it. Like Julie Soto has lived in Sacramento, like she's really familiar with the city, so she's able to put in a lot of like real places or places that maybe used to be there that aren't anymore, or like fictional businesses that are inspired by real businesses. So I love that. I love when the city that we're set in is super specific and the author takes the time and attention to make it super specific. So I did really like that. Bummed this was not the 5-star reading experience though that I was hoping, because some other friends I have who've read that gave it 5 stars, but that's okay. Romance and I we're working on a relationship. We're working it out. And then Catalina, oh man. Okay, I love the writing in this. I love like the stream of consciousness that Catalina is really like, feels like Catalina is telling the reader like this story of a year in her life as she finishes up her time at Harvard and her relationship with her grandparents and what it means to be undocumented. This is set in the early 2000s, but so like 2008, 2007, 2008, when the DACA bill, what kept getting, like, was just starting to be introduced into really testing my U.S. political systems knowledge into Congress to be voted on, and it kept getting filibustered. And anyways, and of course, like, the DACA refers to the dreamers, and Catalina is a dreamer, and the anxiety of like watching your future be debated and voted on by political leaders. I really loved all that. Like I said, I love the writing style, how this book flowed. It just, that all that worked really well for me. And I really loved the first like 3/4. Like, I thought this could be a 5-star. It is a 4-star because for me at the end, I felt like it unraveled a little bit for me. I don't know why literary fiction always has to do, not always, but a lot of times has to be weird about sex. And this, like, towards the end, it got weird about sex, and it was weird. I didn't like it, and it pulled me out. It pulled me out enough that I went looking on Storygraph to read other reviews to see what other people thought, but nobody else's reviews mentioned that, so maybe it's just an Ace thing, and that's why I was like, whoa, what just happened? And like, Allo people will read it and be like, yeah, no, that's fine. Who knows? I could argue it both ways. But yeah, I felt like it got a little, like it was scrambling to wrap up things at the end. Like, it was going a little too fast. But at the end of the day, I love the writing for this so much. Now, Catalina is very self-centered. She turns 21 during this year. So she is really young, and, you know, that's like a time in your life where you just are kind of self-centered. She is the main character, like, that always comes with it as well, but like self-centered to her detriment, I feel like. Like, I feel like a lot of the things that go wrong for her in this year go wrong because of how self-centered she is, and because of she has like this inflated view of her own worth and her own importance in the world, which I think is like a normal part of being young. And then eventually, you know, like, your brain fully develops and you get more life experience, and you realize like there's more to the world than just your experience in the world. But I am really glad I read this. Again, I just love this author's writing style. I hope she writes more fiction. I hope she writes more nonfiction. I just hope she writes more books, because I will definitely read them if she writes them. There we go. And with that, I'm all caught up with Clear Your Shit prompts. And ready to kind of I've started some other projects, so we'll see if I can get those projects done and also keep up with Clear Your Shit. But thank you so much for spending this week with me. Granted, it will not be a week-long experience for you, but thank you so much for spending your time with me. I really appreciate it. I would love to hear your thoughts about any or all of the books that I read in this video. Let me know it's fine. Let me know if you are also participating in Clear Your Shit. I would love to hear how your progress is going, what some of your favorite books are that you've read for this challenge so far. If you would like to leave an emoji to let me know you are here. Let's do a flower emoji, since, you know, forget me not. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Bye!